Assalamu alaikum. Are Muslims allowed to destroy churches or synagogues or other non-Muslim places of worship? The answer to this comes clearly from the Quran. And we see also in the Sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the fact that right until today, it is actually lands that were dominated by Muslims that still have churches, monasteries, and temples. The Quran says in chapter 2, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 256, "Let there be no compulsion in religion, that truth stands clear from error." The Quran also says in chapter 18, verse 29, "Say, the truth has now come to you from your sustainer. Let then he who wills believe in it, and let he who wills reject it." So the Quran makes it clear that people have a right to practice their faith and a choice of what religion they wish to accept and follow. Islam respects, therefore, the rights of people to have their own faith and to practice their own religious beliefs. In Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah chapter 5, verse 48 and 49, Allah makes it clear that had He willed, He would have made all of mankind follow one religion. But He had willed it otherwise, that we would all have our own ways, and He would test us with what He has revealed unto us. That we should compete in the doing of good, that to God is our final return, where we will answer on how we conducted ourselves. Jews and Christians, for example, belong to a group the Quran and the Sunnah refer to as Ahl al-Kitab, people of earlier revelations. These were people who are not treated or regarded as idol worshippers or heathens, but are given the honorary title of Ahl al-Kitab, people of earlier scripture, in recognition that they followed genuine prophets of God. And so even though we may not accept all they believe in, as Muslims, it is our responsibility to give them even greater accommodation. And so Muslims are expected and allowed to marry, for example, women from among the Ahl al-Kitab, Jews and Christians, for example, and to eat of the food that they slaughter, as found in Quran chapter 5, verse 5. But critical to this topic is the fact that the Quran recognizes their right to their places of worship and that this right must be respected. The Quran prohibits in Surah Al-Hajj that anyone should destroy monasteries, churches, synagogues, or mosques. In fact, the protection of these places along with mosques are all in the same verse. In Surah Al-Hajj in chapter 22, verse 38 to 40, the Quran says that permission to fight is given to those who have been oppressed. And the rest of the verse carries on and says, "For had God not allowed men to repel other men, all monasteries, churches, synagogues, and mosques, wherein the name of God is often mentioned, would certainly have been destroyed." According to Muslim historians, this was the verse that first gave permission for Muslims to actually fight, to defend the protection of places of worship. And it is in this verse that Allah puts together the defense of monasteries, churches, synagogues, and mosques. A great Islamic scholar, Ibn Hazm, holds, based on this verse, that Muslims are even required to fight, if necessary, in order to defend these non-Muslim places of worship from being destroyed. So far from any Muslim looking at a permission to destroy churches, synagogues, monasteries, etc., the Quran requires us to protect these as part of its general protection of faith and the right of people to follow their own respective faith. There is no compulsion in religion, as the Quran mentions. And Allah knows best. Assalamu alaikum.